Have you ever had a boss who outplayed upper management without ever raising his voice? I was 14 when I got my first summer job, and that's when I met the best boss I've ever had. We'll call him Coach Henderson. I found out recently that he passed away, and even though it's been more than 20 years, the lessons he taught me still shape how I work and how I treat people. He could be tough, but he was always fair, and he always stood up for the people under him. Coach Henderson was one of those people who seemed like he stepped straight out of an old sports magazine. Boarding school in New England, Yale in the late 50s, multiple sports, team captain, the whole thing. By the time I met him, he was in his late 60s, maybe early 70s, but still in incredible shape. He taught high school, coached football and track, and could run circles around most teenagers. During summers, he worked at the town beach and eventually became head lifeguard. Over the years, he completely rebuilt the entire system. Training standards, testing, rescue procedures, everything. The town eventually modeled its lifeguard program after his methods. Later, he was hired to run the staff at a private beach club instead of working for the town. The club catered to wealthier families who wanted something quieter, more polished, and with nicer amenities. As a kid, I started as a helper doing basic beach tasks, eventually becoming a lifeguard. For the first few summers, everything was smooth. The club president at the time valued good staff, supported training, and approved the raises Coach gave returning workers. It made sense. If people returned year after year, the beach ran like a well-oiled machine. When I started, I made $7.25 an hour. By the time I was in college, I made nearly $15 thanks to those returning staff increases. Then the club elected a new president. From the moment he stepped in, he loudly announced he was going to enforce fiscal responsibility. His first decision was to cut pay for every staff member down to minimum wage. He also fired most non-lifeguard staff and told the rest of us that if we weren't happy, we were welcome to leave. Most of the senior workers did leave. They'd spent years at that beach and were suddenly being told their experience didn't matter. Coach managed to convince the lifeguards to stay. He told us he'd find a way to fix things, but for now, we needed to ride out the storm. That's when Coach went to the new president with a proposal. If any lifeguard earned additional certifications, they would receive an extra $2 an hour per mouse certification. The president barely looked up from the papers he was reviewing. He agreed immediately, assuming none of us would bother. He also assumed it wasn't even possible to get meaningful certifications before summer began. He didn't know Coach very well. Coach spent his entire career building the county's rescue and training network. He personally trained half the instructors, helped hire most of the town's emergency responders in their younger years, and had ties to every training program in the region. All he had to do was make a few phone calls. Within a week, the county's top instructors, examiners, and emergency trainers were rotating through the beach club, offering accelerated certifications. Many of them waived every fee, happy for a chance to repay Coach for decades of support. We weren't just getting the basics. We trained for everything. We renewed CPR. We got open water and deep water rescue certifications. We became certified swim instructors. We got food safety training for the club kitchen. We earned county pool operator licenses. We became sanitation certified. A few of us even got scuba certifications through the county's water rescue team. By Memorial Day weekend, the unofficial start of summer, every single lifeguard was stacked with credentials. And because of the agreement, our minimum wage pay shot upward fast. I went from the forced $5.15 minimum wage at the time to $27 an hour by the time the list of certifications was tallied. When the president finally noticed the payroll numbers, his reaction was exactly what you'd expect. But he had signed the agreement, and Coach made sure it was all documented properly. There was nothing he could undo without causing a much bigger problem for the board. A month later, he resigned, claiming he wanted to spend more time enjoying the beach. He didn't spend time at our beach again. The new president worked with Coach instead of fighting him, and several experienced staff members returned the next year. A few weeks ago, I heard that Coach passed away peacefully at 91. True to who he was still around the beach, still moving, still getting in his daily rowing sessions. Even at the end, he stayed active, involved, and committed to the place and people he loved. He really was one of a kind.